Welcome to Beyond Borders from Marseille, where they're trying to change the city's reputation for being the most dangerous place in France.
Marseille is seen as dangerous.
You have the wrong idea.
Welcome to Marseille.
There's a tranquility about this place.
The beauty of a clear winter's morning in this area of Marseille belies the violence that's been seen on such deprived estates in the city's poorest neighborhoods. Amin Kasachi shows me around La Rose, where he grew up alongside his older brother Brahim, who was executed by a drugs gang nearby and whose body was found in the wreck of a burned-out car. We'd been told it was one of the areas of the north of Marseille to avoid, that trouble could come from anywhere. But Amin knows the people, and we are invited into a 7th-floor apartment where this woman lives with her mother, her 3 children, her sister and the family pet, a tortoise called Tortoise. There is a generosity in this spotless home.
There we go, we're getting one of our guests. This is, what did you say, bœuf?
Yes.
So beef.
Et de mouton aussi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sheep.
Oui.
And oh!
There's danger too, with children here, but one that could be solved tomorrow if authorities made the simplest of repairs.
And the thing is, not only is there no window pane in there, oh yeah, there's very sharp glass by the look of it. Whoa. Can you take it out one more time? Yeah, look, take a look at that. This sharp piece of glass, anytime you put your hand in there, if it breaks, you risk losing fingers, a lot of blood, maybe even more than that. That is incredibly unsafe.
The police station on the estate has been closed and the people of La Rose left to fend for themselves. They say here in the Quartier Nord that they've been forgotten and that lack of help creates an atmosphere of lawlessness. As we drive to an office where Amin and his family are trying to bring about change, we pass the spot where Brahim's body was discovered.
It happened right here in this area. It's where the car caught fire. We can see the fire marks on the ground. This was clearly a criminal act. They didn't just kill him, and this is what upset me the most. Hundreds of people die around the world, and my brother isn't the first victim nor the last. But why did they have to burn him? I don't get that. Why, in addition to murdering him, did they also burn him? Since I was a child, my dream has always been to go into politics. I dream of being able to help people to fight in order to make a difference. Letting young people from the hood die isn't the solution. That's why I'm proud to be fighting for this cause. In our neighborhoods, there aren't only drug traffickers. There are also young people just like me who went to school and have succeeded.
The Conscience Foundation, run by Amin and Brahim's family, tries to help those who say that despite the millions of euros now being poured into the deprived parts of the city, they are bottom on the list when it comes to being offered real ways to change their lives. The brother's mother says the work takes her mind away from the pain she feels after the assassination of her son.
J'ai perdu un enfant qui a 21 ans. Je l'ai perdu, ça fait 2 années. Toujours les jeunes qui décèdent, toujours les jeunes, c'est eux qui prennent les balles. En fait, de 14 ans à 22 ans, c'est eux qui décèdent parce qu'ils sont à l'extérieur, ils sont sur le terrain. Et les barons et les grands voyous, ils sont cachés, on ne peut pas les toucher, c'est intouchable. Ma petite fille maintenant, elle va avoir 4 ans. Elle commence à poser la question, il est où papa? Tous les soirs, il est où papa? Il est où papa? Et franchement, moi, ça me fait mal. Maintenant, c'est ma petite fille qui me touche le plus. Ouais. Toujours elle demande, il est où papa? Il est où papa?
Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Très difficile pour
Non,
vous.
merci beaucoup. Merci. Et désolé pour demander des questions difficiles.
Later, we drive past the estate, barricades, and young men keeping outsiders out, unless they're on a messaging app, which gives them appointments to come in and buy drugs that are openly listed by price and availability.
C'est devenu extrêmement violent parce que ce sont des personnes qui n'ont, aucun état d'âme par rapport à leurs concurrents. On voit bien que la bascule maintenant, elle remonte à loin quand même. Hein. Et on voit bien que, il y a une violence totalement décomplexée vis-à-vis des concurrents, mais pas seulement. C'est aussi une violence qui veut impressionner les autres. Hein. Donc on a effectivement l'élimination des concurrents directs. Hein. Donc c'est une violence qui est vraiment focalisée sur une personne qui est un ennemi ou un concurrent. Ça peut être aussi une violence qui est téléguidée par la vengeance. C'est-à-dire, tu as éliminé quelqu'un de mon gang, comme vous dites, et donc je vais éliminer quelqu'un qui est proche de toi. Ça peut être des personnes qui vont et viennent, qui sont présents, et qui vont se faire soit blesser, soit tuer, parce que simplement, elles sont au mauvais endroit, au mauvais moment.
In this city of nearly 2 million, the oldest in France, the history of organised crime goes back a long way. And the crime writer, François Thomazeau, takes me to a portside cafe famed as the home of 2 of the biggest recent crime lords. The danger reputation of Marseille brings with it, he says, the bonus of cementing the Hollywood image of the city as home to tough guys and gangsters.
So Nice is seen as glamorous and Marseille is seen as dangerous.
But is that to Marseille's advantage, in a way?
It is. It is because of that kind of street credibility. There's been lots and lots and lots of people from the north of France and foreigners settling in Marseille in the last decades. And every time they love the city, they tell you that they love it because of its authenticity.
It is the poorer, not always dangerous neighbourhoods that are neglected. Near the city centre, 8 people died in 2019 when this building collapsed. Other buildings were subsequently evacuated, and 4 years later, the artist Sharon Tullock is only now about to get a new home.
There was a massive knocking at the door, thud, 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 and opened the door, and there was a fireman, someone from the city council, 2 or 3 people saying, well, you've got to go.
No warning?
No warning, no.
And you had to go there and then?
I had 2 hours.
Crikey. I suppose in a sense it's disturbing to have that happen so abruptly. But did you wonder about the fact that had you stayed, it could have been much worse?
I think it could have been much worse, yeah, because afterwards when I went upstairs onto the 3rd floor, I actually saw that the facade was actually coming away from the rest of the building. And that was why Believe it or not, a few months before, I couldn't hear the neighbours anymore because the neighbours had been evacuated and we didn't know.
So they'd been evacuated, in other
Yeah.
words, ordered to leave. Why,
Yeah.
why didn't they do that with you?
Because maybe they were just waiting. I don't know why. Because people like to maybe put their heads in the sand. You know, it's the ostrich mode. I don't know.
But you can see the cracks, can't you?
Yeah.
You can
You
see them
can.
coming down from the top floor.
Yes. And all the way down. you
And
can
all the way down.
And
All
it's
the
the
way
same
down.
on the other side as well. And the person that was living here was actually a homeowner. He was the only one who was a homeowner. And I'm not quite sure what happened to him. And for the rest of the people, everyone kind of fled.
Sharon wants us to hear some of the one-woman show she's hoping to stage about what she's been through.
I only have a couple of hours to evacuate my lodgings and pack up my entire life. Strong people are needed by my side to handle my panic and confusion. Incomprehensible words are muttered through the fear in my voice is crystal clear.
No one has yet been punished for the building collapse and the deaths of those 8 people. In Serge and Najla's restaurant Mounet, they know about conflict, leaving Lebanon during that country's civil war to settle in Marseille. I ask if there are any similarities.
You know, there's always trouble in Beirut, whether it's
Yes.
open warfare or whether it's just political tensions, all of that sort of stuff. Is it much calmer here in France or not?
It is calmer, you have more stability, but I think that we chose a town that is very close to Lebanon. It's like I already said it before, it's like a mirror of the Mediterranean actually. So everybody that comes from a Mediterranean country, he can find himself in Marseille. It looks a little bit like Beirut, it looks a little bit like Greece, it's like Sicily, like, I don't know, everybody finds itself here.
Is it as volatile as it is in Beirut?
Yes, yes, I can say that, yeah, a little volatile, and it's also multicultural. So that's what attracted us here. So, and people get what we want to show them, you see.
Continue.
Yes,
Continue.
I have to find something.
What I'm wondering about is Beirut has a reputation,
Exactly.
as Marseille has a reputation.
Yeah. The thing is, listen, it's bad media everywhere. You've been to Lebanon, we spoke. You're still alive. So people go like, yeah, you have terrorists there, you have drug dealers, you have Hezbollah, you have war, you have ISIS and stuff. But we never had all those stuff. I've been living there all my entire life, except the 7 last years, but we saw lots of tourists coming in, lots of tourists going out. It's really festive, everything is going normal. And Marseille, it's kind of the same. That once they talk, yeah, because you have like the ghettos, you have, I don't know what, the drug dealers and stuff. So the thing is, don't mess with people, they don't mess with you. Like the cat, you know, like don't step on the cat's tail, you know, it will bite. It will. So this is it, the same. It's been 7 years I'm here, nothing happened to us, you know.
So it's an unfair reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
From the kitchen to food writing and film producer Veran Frediani.
They present you Paris as a safe city. I don't think it's safer than Marseille.
I'm wondering, because you're also a filmmaker.
That's what I wanted to show you. This here, you know.
And
So that's a proper Marseille phrase now, or saying, c'est Marseille, bébé.
Which
And this
means
it
we
is
are
true.
what we are.
Yes, exactly.
Take us or leave us.
Yes, exactly. Whenever something happens to you and you don't like it, people here will tell you, c'est Marseille, bébé.
It's a busy area,
And
isn't it, with all the
it's
noise and the drilling and
it's
the music coming from the bars, but it gets crazy up here at
It's
night, doesn't it?
saying, yes, yes, yes. It's saying that Jules invented. This is our famous rap singer in Marseille.
She appears agitated when the conversation turns to how to improve the city.
I think the violence here is extreme and people live in an
I
extreme...
don't agree with you. I don't agree with that. I'm not going to say that. I'm sorry, David, but you're not going to tell through all the interviews that Marseille is a dangerous place.
No, I'm not.
It's not. You have the wrong idea. You're coming here thinking you know. No, you don't. It's not a dangerous city. You've been reading and all the news, but that's how news work. Anytime something happens here, small thing happens here, they make it the big news. And this is how it works since I was born here. They keep thinking that Marseille is more dangerous because it sells. And actually, you're right, it sells. People come to see that. They want to be in a tough area because you know what? Nothing happens to them. So they can't say, oh, I've been to Marseille, you know, it's tough, I'm a wild tourist. And at the same time, you're here, nothing happened to you. So that's why people come now. They know it's a safe city, but you can still play as if it was.
I suppose what I want to
wild.
find out is why people say things are going to change here, but for those people in the north, it doesn't appear to be changing.
A lot of things changed here. So you have drug trafficking, but I think you have drug trafficking in Brussels, you have drug trafficking in Lille, in Paris, in London. So at least we are honest about it. Yes, it brings money to the city and to families. Do you want to stop it? Why? Why should we stop? Who is buying these drugs? Wants these drugs? Maybe it's the people who come here to live who want these drugs. So, you know, until we have jobs here, why should we stop the drug trafficking?
I get it.
We had been trying for days to get access to that week's big football match between former Champions League winners Olympique Marseille and Lorient. Olympique still mourning the loss of former youth player Adel Santana Mendy, shot dead just over a month before we arrived at the age of 22 in one of the northern neighborhoods near where we had filmed with Amin Kasachi. Next to his body were 27 shell casings from an automatic rifle. The invitation to join the supporters group South Winners came as a surprise. Very few television crews have been allowed into their clubhouse, where they are preparing for the weekend's game.
Plusieurs raisons. Déjà, la première raison, c'est que c'est un moyen de ne pas tomber dans les vices de la rue. Donc, c'est-à-dire, Marseille, c'est une ville avec beaucoup de problèmes et de difficultés. Et ça permet aux jeunes de s'impliquer, d'accepter un cadre imposé. Et ce cadre-là qui est imposé, en fait, ça va leur permettre plus tard, en grandissant, Marseille, c'est comme ça, hein. Il y a les bons côtés, les mauvais côtés. Et souvent, c'est les plus mauvais côtés qui ressortent. C'est une ville pauvre, on va dire. C'est une ville avec son histoire, sa belle histoire, comme l'histoire un peu sombre. Donc du coup ça permet d'éviter tout ça.
South Winners say they are anti-fascist and inclusive, most notably a home for many who feel disenfranchised. The match day arrives. South Winners are at the ground hours early for their warm-up. Half-time, and with the score 1-1, it's time for a dive into what they call the fire pit. (3-1) to Marseille is the final score. The next morning, by the water, two pairs of sisters who have lost family members to drugs violence meet to plan their continuing campaign to change the city for the better.
C'est qu'on sait que nos familles à nous qui sont dans le collectif, elles ont énormément de mal à parler et peur de parler. Face caméra.
Il y a des représailles.
Il ne faut pas oublier, c'est pas parce que nous on est...
Moi, je suis née à Marseille, j'y ai toujours habité, et je vois que là, en 30 ans à Marseille, ça a empiré. Les gens, je veux dire, ces jeunes n'ont plus de respect, ni envers la mer, ni envers le... Avant, les gens s'arrêtaient, disaient tonton, même dans les quartiers, on aidait les personnes. Aujourd'hui, chacun fait l'autruche, chacun s'enferme dans sa maison parce qu'ils ont peur. Et voir l'avenir, oui, mais il faut que tout le monde se donne la main pour pouvoir réussir. Dans ces trafics, dans cet engrenage, et c'est plus facile. Et les gens des quartiers nord, c'est vrai, ils sont pauvres, donc c'est le seul moyen d'aller gagner de l'argent et de montrer cet argent. Voilà, j'ai une paire de baskets. Alors qu'il y a 30 ans ou 20 ans ou 10 ans en arrière.
Do they think that the killers are also victims?
Quel que soit, après, je parle pour moi, quel que soit le mode de vie, le passif qu'ils ont eu, parce que je pense que c'est des personnes aussi qui n'ont pas eu une vie facile, attention, mais ça n'enlève en rien que personne ne doit ôter la vie à quiconque. Qu'ils soient sous drogue ou pas quand ils l'ont fait, ils ont ôté volontairement la vie à quelqu'un. Pour moi, c'est des monstres dotés d'humanité. Voilà, pour moi, ce sont des monstres.
Donc ils sont conscients qu'on leur donne de l'argent, qu'ils vont prendre une arme et tuer une personne, un être humain, comme elle disait ma soeur, en sachant qu'il y a des enfants, là, ça peut se passer la journée, ils peuvent toucher n'importe qui. Et tout dépend aussi de l'arme, parce qu'il faut savoir que le Kalachnikov, c'est quand même une arme...
c'est des armes les plus utilisées, c'est ça, c'est les Kalachnikov.
Ça transperce les murs. Donc ils peuvent atteindre n'importe qui. C'est-à-dire qu'une personne, elle est sur son balcon, elle est chez elle.
The sense is that there are many who care enough to force change, but that mostly they're having to do it on their own. It is a case of despite those in charge rather than thanks to them. Our last visit is to a cinema where volunteers are talking of how young students from the northern neighbourhoods can be encouraged to escape their present for the sake of their future. In this case, by studying to be doctors.
For us, in this area of Marseille, which is named the Quartier Nord, with a lot of difficulties, we try to allow all these children, when it's with children's, to have the possibility to discover a little bit more than the place they live. And with cinema, it's easy. You just have to sit, it starts, and you can go very, very far away from the place where you are.
Merci. Alors,
the prosecutor looks at the young lives being wasted, some of them lost, and sighs as she says it could be at least 2 generations before things really improve, if that is indeed possible.
Vous ne pouvez pas dans votre tête intégrer la sauvagerie et la brutalité de ce qui se passe. Je pense que c'est très difficile pour le commun des mortels de se représenter la brutalité, la sauvagerie qui est la leur. Des choses que je n'avais jamais vues en 40 ans de métier. Et j'ai rencontré aussi le meilleur du meilleur, c'est-à-dire des gens formidables. Voilà. Et c'est un peu ça, cette ville de Marseille. Et c'est dommage d'ailleurs, qu'on n'en parle pas assez de ces gens formidables.
Leaving behind a life with little or no hope has happened to a fortunate few, as we have seen. But I'm left wondering, as I look at the ancient fortress jail off the coast of this city, whether the real prisoners are in Marseille itself, and will remain there with little chance of parole.